I'm currently sitting in a locked bathroom with a kitchen knife on the counter and my husband's laptop open in front of me, and I honestly don't think I can ever close my eyes and sleep peacefully again. I just found something that didn't just break my heart. It fundamentally shattered my understanding of reality, making me realize that the man I've shared a bed with for 7 years is a complete stranger, a monster wearing the skin of the person I loved most in the world. I found a folder on his computer that has made me question every single memory I have of our life together. And as I sit here listening to him knock on the door asking if I'm okay, I'm terrified for my life and my sanity. Was I wrong for what I did next? Or would you have done the exact same thing if you realized your entire marriage was nothing more than a carefully orchestrated psychological experiment? Tell me if you would have stayed calm, or if you would have burned your entire life to the ground right then and there, because I feel like I'm losing my mind. To understand why I'm hiding in the bathroom, you have to understand who Liam was to me. We met when I was 26, working as a junior curator at a local gallery. I was a bit of a mess back then, struggling with the recent loss of my mother and feeling completely untethered from the world. Then came Liam, charming, stable, and incredibly attentive. He was a high-level cybersecurity consultant, or so he said, and he had this way of making me feel like I was the most important person in the room. He didn't just listen to my stories. He remembered every detail, every favorite color, every childhood fear. He was the perfect partner. Within a year, we were married, and everyone in my life told me how lucky I was. My father, who is a very successful businessman and admittedly quite wealthy, took to Liam immediately. He saw Liam as the son he never had, someone logical, tech-savvy, and fiercely protective of me. Our marriage was, for the longest time, a dream. Liam encouraged me to quit the gallery and pursue my own art, which sounds supportive, right? But looking back, it was the first step in isolating me. He handled all our finances, saying he wanted to take the stress off my plate. He set up our smart home system, which meant he controlled the lights, the locks, and the security cameras from his phone. He was always optimizing our lives. But about a year ago, things started feeling heavy. I started having these bouts of extreme self-doubt. I would forget things, where I put my keys, what time a meeting was, whether I had locked the front door. Liam would sigh, kiss my forehead, and say, "It's okay, honey, you've always been a bit flighty. That's why you have me." He started suggesting I was burned out, and that I should see a specific therapist he recommended. I did, and that therapist basically reinforced the idea that I had an anxiety disorder and needed to rely more on Liam's stability. I felt like I was losing my grip on the world, and Liam was the only anchor I had left. My family started noticing too. My sister, Clara, once mentioned that I didn't seem like myself, but when I told Liam, he subtly pointed out that Clara was just jealous of our perfect relationship. He sowed seeds of doubt about everyone I loved until it was just him and me in our high-tech fortress. The incident that led me to the laptop happened yesterday. Liam was in the shower, and his work laptop, which is usually guarded like the crown jewels, was sitting open on the kitchen island. He'd been working late on a security breach for a client and must have forgotten to lock it in his rush to clean up for our anniversary dinner. I wasn't even looking for trouble. I just wanted to see if he had bookmarked the restaurant so I could check the menu. But when I moved the mouse, a file was already open. It wasn't a work document. It was a spreadsheet titled SM Behavioral Log. My initials are SM. My heart stopped. I started scrolling, and my blood turned to ice. It wasn't just a log. It was a minute-by-minute account of my life for the last 3 years. There were entries like, 7:15 a.m. subject woke up, subtly moved car keys to the junk drawer to induce minor stress. 8:30 a.m. subject couldn't find keys, reassured her of her forgetfulness. Gaslighting successful. Increased dependency noted. There were pages and pages of this. He had been documenting my episodes of forgetfulness, episodes that he had manufactured. He was the one hiding my things. He was the one subtly changing the dates on my digital calendar. He was the one whispering things to me while I was half asleep to plant ideas in my head. But it got worse. I found a subfolder labeled The Estate. Inside were detailed blueprints of my father's logistics warehouses and a list of my father's personal account passwords, which I realized Liam must have keylogged from my father's computer when we stayed there last Christmas. There was a timeline, a literal endgame strategy, to have me declared mentally unfit so that he could take power of attorney over my portion of the family trust and eventually liquidate my father's assets. He wasn't just a husband. He was a predator who had been hunting my family since the day we met. He had literally social engineered his way into my heart to dismantle my life for profit. I sat there, staring at the screen, and I didn't even hear the shower stop. I didn't hear him walk into the kitchen until his voice, that smooth, calm voice I used to love, said, "Sarah, what are you doing on my work computer?" I didn't look up. I couldn't. I just felt this wave of nausea so intense I thought I would pass out. He didn't panic. He didn't even apologize. He just walked over, closed the laptop lid with one hand, and said, "You weren't supposed to see that yet, Sarah. You're not stable enough for the truth." He tried to touch my shoulder, and I flinched so hard I fell off the stool. I ran. I didn't even think. I just grabbed the laptop, God knows why, and ran into the guest bathroom, locking the door behind me. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. I was locked in a room with the evidence of a 3-year-long psychological assault, hearing the man I thought was my soulmate calmly telling me through the door that I was having another episode and needed to come out so he could help me. Before I tell you what happened next, before I tell you how I managed to get the truth out of that house and what I discovered in the deleted files, I want you to pause and comment below. What would you have done in my shoes? Would you have tried to climb out the window, or would you have stayed and confronted him? I really need to hear your thoughts, because even now, I wonder if there was a safer way to handle a man who knows every password to my life. I spent what felt like hours in that bathroom. Liam's voice remained eerily calm. He wasn't banging on the door. He was just talking. He told me that he did it because he loved me, that he needed to guide me because the world was too much for someone as sensitive as I am. He said the plan for my father's money was actually for us, to build a life where I'd never have to worry again. Every word he spoke felt like a physical weight on my chest. While he talked, I was working. I remembered that I had an old USB drive in the bathroom drawer from when I used to keep my art backups there. I plugged it into the laptop. My hands were shaking so much I could barely navigate the trackpad, but I started copying everything. The behavioral logs, the endgame timeline, the keylogged passwords from my father, and the recordings. That was the final blow. I found a folder of audio files. He had been recording our private conversations, and even our most intimate moments, to analyze my emotional responses. I felt violated in a way that I can't even describe. It wasn't just my mind he was stealing. It was my dignity. I realized then that if I just walked out, he'd find a way to delete the evidence or make me look crazy to the police. I had to be smarter than the man who made a career out of being the smartest person in the room. I noticed his phone was synced to the laptop. I opened his messages and saw a conversation with my therapist. It turns out the therapist wasn't a therapist at all. He was an old college friend of Liam's who was being paid to keep me in a state of psychological fragility. I took screenshots of everything. I emailed the entire Project Sarah folder to myself, to my sister Clara, and to my father's head of security. As the sending bar crawled across the screen, Liam's tone finally shifted. He realized I was doing something. His voice went from soothing to cold, a sharp, clinical edge that made the hair on my neck stand up. "Sarah," he said, "if you send those files, you destroy everything. I have backups of things you haven't even found yet. Think about your father's reputation. Think about what I could do to Clara's career." He was threatening me even through the door, but it was too late. The email sent. I heard the whoosh sound, and I felt a tiny spark of power return to my body. I didn't come out right away. I waited until I heard the sirens. I had also called 911 from the laptop's VoIP system while I was in there, telling them there was a domestic hostage situation. When the police arrived, Liam tried to play the part of the concerned husband. I heard him telling them, "My wife is having a psychotic break. She's locked herself in there with a knife. Please be careful with her." But I walked out before they could break the door down. I walked out with the laptop and the USB drive, and I handed them directly to the lead officer. I didn't say a word to Liam. I didn't even look at him. I just watched as they took him into the kitchen to question him. The aftermath was a whirlwind. My father's security team arrived within 20 minutes, and they didn't play around. They had Liam's consultancy business dismantled within 48 hours. It turns out he wasn't just targeting me. He had been doing this for years to other wealthy families, though I was his most long-term project. He was a professional parasite. The therapist was arrested for practicing without a license and conspiracy to commit fraud. Liam is currently facing a litany of charges, including stalking, wiretapping, and attempted grand larceny. But the legal battle is nothing compared to the psychological one. The police found hidden microphones in every room of our house, even the bathroom. He had been listening to me for 7 years. He knew my every thought before I even spoke it. My father is devastated, not because of the money, he has plenty of that, but because he feels he failed to protect me. My sister Clara has been my rock, but she's also terrified, realizing how close she came to being his next target. As for me, I'm living in a high-security apartment now, and I still have the locks changed every month. I can't use a computer without feeling like someone is watching the cursor move. I'm in real therapy now, with a woman who had to go through a rigorous background check by my father's team, but the healing is slow. I look in the mirror, and I don't see the flighty girl Liam tried to create. I see a survivor, but a survivor who is perpetually exhausted. The worst part is the dreams. I dream that I'm still in that house, that the lights are turning on and off by themselves, and I can hear his voice through the walls telling me that I'm imagining things. I found out later that he had even been microdosing my evening tea with a sedative to make me more suggestible. The man I loved was literally poisoning me to keep me under his thumb. It's a level of evil that I didn't think existed outside of movies. But I'm free. He's in a cell, and he'll be there for a long time. I lost 7 years to a shadow, but I have the rest of my life to find the light again. I've decided to sell the house and donate the proceeds to a foundation for victims of domestic and psychological abuse. I want something good to come out of the wreckage. I've learned the hard way that the people who claim to be your anchor can sometimes be the ones trying to drown you. Never ignore that little voice in your head that tells you something is wrong, even if the person you love is the one telling you the voice is lying. Trust yourself above all else, because your intuition is the one thing no one can ever truly keylog. Was I wrong for the way I exposed him? Some people say I should have just left and called the police later, that I put myself in too much danger by staying in that bathroom. But I know if I hadn't gotten those files right then, he would have erased his tracks and I'd still be the crazy wife in everyone's eyes. I chose the truth over my safety for one night, and it saved my life for all the nights to come. Like this video if you think I was right to fight back and expose his lies to the world. Subscribe for more stories about survival and the dark truths that hide behind perfect smiles, and please, share your thoughts in the comments. Would you have been able to stay as calm as I did, or would the betrayal have been too much to handle? I'll see you all in the next story.